Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about a topic that I've been thinking a lot about recently, and it's about Genshin's lore and how it's about to get even more messy than before, right? And just to clarify, I'm not talking messy as in the storytelling is messy and the story is all over the place and like nothing makes sense, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the community and how the lore is perceived by the players and stuff like that. What I want to talk about today is the community's view on the game's lore, right? And how there's like a lot of players that don't know almost anything about the lore of the game, right? Except for what is shown in Archon Quests and stuff like that. And the way I see it, the community right now is kind of like in this meme, you know, like there's the people who don't know anything about the lore and they just play the game for the characters and all that. They don't do world quests, maybe they do Archon Quests, but they don't understand anything. Maybe they don't do Archon Quests, right? They just play the game for the exploration and all that, so they don't really know anything about the lore. Then there's, you know, as you move up on the spectrum, you get people who know stuff, but they don't know much. Maybe they know a lot of things about the lore, but they can't make heads or tails of it, or they don't have a clear idea or a clear vision for the lore. Then there's right in the middle, which I think is where I am at in terms of lore knowledge. It's the people who know stuff about the lore, they have ideas and they kind of know about the lore, but they don't know the specifics, they don't know the details, the little things, or the more hidden aspects of the lore. And as we move up, there's the people who know about the lore, right? And right here, you know, I guess there would be like the people who do theories about the game and the world building of Genshin and all of that. And it's kind of like that, right? They make the theories and the people from the other parts of the spectrum watch them and learn from it. And the reason why I've been thinking about this more recently is because of the lore drops that, you know, Hoyo has been releasing with the Shades video, now with the Nod Krai teasers and all that. And back when these teasers were being released, right, especially the Shades video, I did see that there were a lot of people who were like really excited to finally see the Shades, to finally see all that stuff about the lore, right, that has been, you know, only talked about briefly in the game, right, or, you know, most recently been shown like Renova, right, in the sky on the Natlan quest. But there were also a lot of people who didn't know shit about it, right? There were people that didn't really know what the Shades are, and they didn't really knew that Shades existed in the first place. They don't know anything about it, right? And that, you know, that's what got me thinking, because at this point in the game, right, I think the way I perceive it, right, and that's the thing, a lot of stuff I'm going to talk about, it's my point of view, right? You might disagree and you might agree. I would like you to, you know, leave a comment to start this discussion or something like that, because now that we are getting into Nod Krai, and Nod Krai seems to be a really lore heavy region, right, for the game for this next year. I feel like a lot of stuff in the game currently that has been only talked about like in some books or, you know, fairy tales from the game, that were kind of teasing at some stuff that we couldn't, like, people could theorize but couldn't be sure about, right? A lot of these little things that were like books hidden in world quests, hidden in like little interactable stuff that you could read, that were like hidden in the desert or in, you know, Natlan's, like inside a volcano in Natlan, you know, all of these little details that you could, you know, use to enhance your knowledge of the lore, right, to enhance or to create more arguments for your theories and whatnot. All of these things that were kind of like hidden, there were like details and stuff like that. Most people in the fan base, they don't know anything about it, right? They, you know, like I said, the Shades, they have been talked about in the main story, right, sometimes, but most people didn't know they existed, because, you know, it wasn't clearly stated up until now that they existed, right? Because a lot of people, myself included, not stopped to read like the weapon descriptions, the weapon lore, the characters lore, the character dialogue, the artifact lore, the domain lore, you know. We don't stop to read all of that, and because of that we might miss a lot of stuff. But with Nod Krai coming, I feel like a lot of stuff that was kind of hidden, right, that was kind of like only people were only able to theorize about and like get some small hints about it here and there, right? A lot of stuff that was like that, now it's gonna be revealed, right? Obviously they're not gonna reveal everything until the end of the game, obviously, but Nod Krai seems to be, you know, the region, right, that is gonna be very lore heavy, and apparently they're gonna release Nod Krai before Nesnaya because they need to explain some stuff about the lore. Maybe because they realized that most people in the community don't know shit about it, or maybe they just wanted to increase the amount of stuff they can talk about in regards to Genshin's world, right, Teyvat. And with the amount of lore drops that I feel like are gonna happen in Nod Krai and, you know, eventually Nesnaya, I think it's gonna kinda help bring more people up to speed, right? Maybe bring more people to the middle of the graphic, or why not, right? Maybe some people are gonna go from the middle of the graphic to, you know, the point where they do theories and they understand a lot about the lore, right? But I feel like there's still gonna be people who don't know anything about the lore. They're gonna, you know, be on Nod Krai, like exploring around, you know, think, oh, this character's cool, this character's also cool, but they're not gonna understand anything. But anyway, Nod Krai is gonna reveal a lot. I hope so. It's gonna reveal a lot about shades and Teyvat's, you know, false firmament. What maybe it's gonna talk about why, you know, there's like that layer of protection around Teyvat, you know, that I think that's gonna help a lot of people who don't know a lot about the lore to catch up. But I also think it's gonna be messy, right? Because for the people that, like, you know, they didn't even knew shades existed, they don't know much about how Teyvat works, what the abyss is. Like, we don't currently know what the abyss is, but, you know, anyway, like not exactly, at least, but anyway. The thing is, people who don't know, they're gonna be very confused about everything, perhaps, and the people who know are gonna have a, you know, a beautiful sunny day of lore drops, right? And I think that's, like, I don't know, just wanted to talk about it because I've been thinking about it, right? And I am excited for Nod Krai and the lore drops and all of that, but I've also been thinking about, like, the people who played this game that don't know much or don't know anything about the lore, right? Like, how are they gonna see Nod Krai, right? How are they gonna, you know, experience Nod Krai's lore, right? Because, you know, there's, I don't know, I think that's a valid discussion to have, because, you know, even I watch some theory videos about Genshin, and I don't think there's a lot of stuff about the lore that I just don't understand, right? If I were to explain Teyvat's world building, right, how Teyvat works and all that, I think I could get it somewhat right, but I wouldn't be able to say everything, right? And if I were to, like, create a timeline of events in regards to everything that has happened in Teyvat, I wouldn't be able to do it precisely. So I don't know, I just want to talk about it because it's been something that's been on my mind, right? I hope the theory crafters and, you know, all the knowledgeable lore masters in the community can, you know, help us understand or just, you know, better put into words what we are perceiving, right? Because I think that's a huge part of what happens as well. It's like, sometimes we see what's happening and we're like, oh, shades exist, but that's like, oh, we can think, oh, shades exists and this and this and this and that, right? Like, sometimes people, they know what's going on, they just can't put into words properly, and because of that they don't fully understand it, right? So anyway, that's just something I wanted to talk about. I hope it wasn't too messy, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you. See you guys next time.